Terrific Tuesday. How are we doing, everybody? It's me. We're back. Moving the chains. We're rocking. We're rolling. Got content coming out. Justin Fields. I didn't mention that yesterday during the quarterback kind of musical chairs that are going on. Daniel Jones got signed today. Justin Fields got signed yesterday. I didn't mention that. But I want to start with that. Justin Fields, Chicago Bear, Steeler, now goes to Jets. Okay. It's a 2-year, $40 million deal. Not bad. I can deal with this. I kind of like it from the Jets' view. They can kind of get out from all this Aaron Rodgers nonsense, get Justin Fields. Aaron Glenn's trying to build the culture like he did up in Detroit, trying to bring this with the Jets, who he used to play for, was an all-pro and a stud. And now you got Justin Fields. Now, for me, there's a part to me that I feel for Justin Fields in this sense. He needs to go to an offensive coach, man. He keeps going to these defensive cultures over and over and over again. He goes to Chicago. We all know the history. Defense, defense, defense. They're like the Ravens of the NFC. I've been saying that for years. Max Lawson knows what I'm talking about, my guy. And I just kind of look at it from a standpoint of, okay, so it didn't work in Chicago. Okay, got it. Where does he end up going? I know. Let's go to Pittsburgh. The same shit he just dealt with in Chicago. Defensive culture, kind of tone deaf to offense. Same thing. Now, Pittsburgh, unlike the Bears, is not a broken franchise. Now, I think Pittsburgh's underachieved, but that's a whole other story for another day. My point is he's going to these broken franchises. Now he goes to the Jets. It's the same shit. It's a broken franchise. As I've been saying, I think they're the Raiders of the East Coast with all this drama, all this nonsense going on. But I do get it from the Jets standpoint. He gives you credibility. He can, get just going a little bit. He's got some mobility. He's got some work. I think Justin Fields fits. You pair him up with Garrett Wilson. You have some weapons there with Breece Hall, and that offensive line's getting better. And I think Aaron Glenn's looking at it going, this could buy some time, to kind of Raider-esque, buy some time. We can kind of just play around with it. We'll see how it happens. But I also can see this going shitty. And we shall see what happens with the Jets and Justin Fields. I am happy for him, pairing him with Garrett Wilson, his old teammate at Ohio State, who had magical memories together. I'll never forget that Garrett Wilson catch against Clemson in that semifinal game out in Arizona, jumping up high. He's a freak, man. Garrett Wilson's one of the best receivers to come out of Ohio State, and that's saying something because Ohio State's had a litany. And I mean litany. Nick Deaton knows as well as anybody, my guy. Shout out to him. As these receivers, man. Them and LSU, to me, my whole life have just been churning them out like it's nothing, man. It's a factory. You go back. I mean, I just mentioned Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Emeka Buka's coming out in his comp. I just read it from Lance Zierlein, who is a great scout, ex-scout, by the way. He did this shit. I just read his scouting report of the kid. That's his comp was Jackson Smith. And I'm like, it looks reasonable. So, and Chris Carter, and just the litany goes on and on. Same with LSU. When you go down to litany, Dwayne Bowe. Ruben Randall was solid for the Giants for a little bit. Not great, but solid. Brandon LaFell, Super Bowl champion, Carolina Panther. You get my drift here. And I feel like you pair Justin Fields, who can run the ball and get some playmaking out of that compared to what Aaron Rodgers couldn't do for you last year with the Jets. You hit this kid now. I think you can get 8-9 wins out of this team. Because this team's got players. Like, I've been saying this. The Jets, to me, are just broken in terms of franchise. I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. But there's some pieces there I like. I like Breece Hall. I love the offensive line they have. They just lost Morgan Moses, so we'll see if they can address that in the draft. It's a deep, deep draft in terms of linemen and that sort of thing. We shall see. But I do like the direction the Jets are going when it comes to the standpoint of, okay, yeah, it's not going to work. We're not going to get a guy. We could get a quarterback in the draft, but we don't know. Let's ride this out with Justin Fields, see what we have, and then maybe next year we see what happens. So that was my take on the Justin Fields thing. I'm with my buddy Derek Solmonson. I do think he's above average, and I do think he's getting better in terms of the throwing part. It still needs a lot of work to go, but it's a lot better than it was in Chicago. Kind of hit and miss in that element. So, the 49ers today, as I've been tracking this free agency crap all over the place, my head's going 100 miles an hour like a pinball machine. Niners got rid of everybody, and they are doing a fire sale right now, and it's the right thing to do. I know Niner fans don't want to hear it, but I'm being honest with you. It's the right thing to do because listen, you squeezed every ounce of that team in that 6-year window that you could have. But what'd you come up with? 0. I mean, I'm reading this list right now. Deebo Samuel, Kyle Juszczyk, 8-time Pro Bowl fullback, Javon Hargrave, Malik Collins has been a solid pro, Drake Greenlaw, all-pro linebacker. If you didn't get hurt in that Super Bowl, what could have been? Tre'Davious Ward, great all-pro corner, although Jordan Addison cooked him a couple years ago on Monday Night Football, but he's a stud. Talanoa Hufanga, the USC guy, undrafted guy, stud, goes to Denver, shit. Aaron Banks, Packers, that makes sense. Green Bay drafts develops offensive line better than anybody outside New England when Brady was there that I've ever seen. Jalen Moore goes to Kansas City to protect Patrick Mahomes' blind side. That makes sense. Patrick Mahomes struggled in the Super Bowl. That I understand. And then they lost Elijah Mitchell, who, we could say what we want, was pretty dang good running back when Chris McCaffrey was out. So, and the Niners just didn't have enough money. And, again, this comes back to show me with the Niners, when I watch, you always have to go look at your rivals, right? And when I look at the Rams right now, Rams are in this weird position. Now, and I think they've done it better than anybody. And when I mean that, what I mean is that they've done it so well in terms of, okay, we're not going to settle, right? Jared Goff, yes, he got us to the Super Bowl. We're happy with that. Okay, he was Pro Bowler. Okay, got it. We got to go upgrade. It's time to move on. Let's get an all-pro Matt Stafford level quarterback with arm talent out the wazoo. Let's get him. And they got him. Super Bowl. Bang. There you go. And I feel like with the Niners, and I was thinking about this on the way home tonight, and I've had some thoughts about this all day when I saw that, all the guys getting cut. I'm reading off my little sticky note down here. The Niners need to upgrade a quarterback. It's that simple. And I understand that Kyle Shanahan and that system, and I've been preaching this, and I've heard ex-scouts say this, and I was thinking about this on the way home tonight. Yes, it's great. And yes, that system and the run game and all that stuff and the boots, and I mentioned this before, but they have no drop-back game, no drop-back pass game to their offense. And I feel like if they get a quarterback, because they've had Garoppolo, missed that throwing Super Bowl. Brock Purdy, been hurt, injured, small. Okay. You got to see now, San Francisco, you had it. And you know what? This happens all the time. There's always that one guy that just gets in the way of your success. And the Chiefs, go throughout NFL history. New England a lot of teams that played New England, same shit, man. Like, if they hadn't run into Brady, who knows? Same thing I see with the Niners. If you didn't run into Patrick Mahomes in the AFC during your Super Bowls, maybe you win. I don't know. So, when I meant by the Rams just kind of have this feeling. Like, they kind of go, okay, like Todd Gurley. They overpaid him. Okay, we made a whiff. Let's move on. Let's not hang on. And I feel like with the Niners sometimes, and I pride them on this, they did not cling to the past. They didn't hang on to all these guys that I just mentioned because they love them, and I get it. There's a human element to football that we see, and I get it. But you got to look from a business perspective. I've been saying this, and I've heard this saying, it's Wall Street on grass, and it's totally fair to me. I get it. You have to be able to move on. You just have to. And the Niners just finally admitted, like, we had a run. We tried. Squeeze every bit of juice out of this thing, and it didn't work. It's time to rip the Band-Aid off. We got to start over, and that's fine. But I think if they could do a do-over, they would not give Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk those money. They would not do it. And listen, they still got some headliners. Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle and Fred Warner and Trent Williams. This is still a decent team. They have players. But again, to me, this is what it comes down to with Brock Purdy. Hey, Brock, go win his football games now. Go win. We took all these toys away. You got to go carry us now. And he's not capable of that. I saw it. And I was thinking about this on the way home tonight, too, because I always got thoughts going on in my head, is when I watched him go on the road in Buffalo in a snowstorm against Josh Allen on the same field. It was not even close talent-wise. One guy is 6'6", 237, hose of an arm, Brett Favre with mobility. The other guy is Tua. That's what he is. And that's okay, but you're just going to be limited. And do you really need to get Brock Purdy that money? No, you do not. Because if I'm looking at your rival, The Rams, they ain't going nowhere. Seattle, they're building Mike McDonald's football team the way that he ran it at Michigan and how he saw it at the Baltimore Ravens. Max Lawson knows all about that. So, my point is, San Francisco did the right thing here. They got rid of guys. And it's hard to do because you had some success and you went to 4 NFC Championship games. You went to the Super Bowls. I got all that. But you got to move on. It's time. So, the Rams to me are smart. And I think the Rams, they're only getting better here. I mean, they just had Devontae, which I'm not going to go into my details with Devontae Adams. I got my beast with him. Okay? Devontae dumbass because of what he did with the Raiders. But who wouldn't do that to the Raiders? I'm just being honest, guys. Okay? And so they got Devontae. The Rams did. Okay. So you put him with Puka. Okay. Now that offense could compete. So you got to deal with that. And then you got to deal with Seattle. Now, I don't know how Sam Darnold's going to do. They just got rid of DK and all that stuff. We'll see what they do in terms of the skill players. I would not be shocked. And this might be my hot take. I don't know. If McMillan from Arizona falls all the way to 18, that's where Seattle is, I believe. I have to look at the draft order. But if he falls to 18, Seattle better go get him. Because now you go get him, Sam Darnold, a Justin Jefferson type of playmaker in terms of that, speed, strength, all that stuff, rare find in the receiver. So you go at him with Jackson Smith, now in Noah Fant, and then Kenneth Walker, and then Zach Charbonnet. Now I feel like Seattle's got something, not to that level that it had with Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, I forgot about him, and DK. Now you kind of retool it. So, 49ers got some work to do, no doubt about it. But this is a good day for San Francisco. They had to do it. They had to rip the Band-Aid off. They didn't want to become like these teams. They have all these players. They're old. They're aging, expensive, chatty. They got rid of them. Good for the Niners. And it's time to restart. Now, the good news is for the Niners, they got 12 picks in this draft. So, my thing is, I would split those picks, the 6, down the middle. I would go offensive line for half those picks, and the other half, I would go defensive line. Because you got to beat those up. Because when I saw the Niners dominate for that 6-year stretch, it was physically dominating the guy across from you. It was offensive line, putting a hat on hat and blocking somebody. That's offensive line. And I've seen it my whole life. And the Niners, when they got on you, and they had that NASCAR package, with kind of like the Giants when they beat Brady in that Super Bowl, they got after you and they bullied you. And they got to get back to that with the Niners. But if I'm the Niners, the guy that I'm looking at, I'm taking Will Campbell. If he's available at whatever pick the Niners are, you go take that guy. Now, I don't think he'll be there by the time the Niners pick, but that's a guy I'm keeping my eye on because he is one of, and I said this last week, one of my favorite players in the draft, badass, tough guy, road grader, didn't allow a sack in the SEC, best conference in football, in college football, in terms of talent. That kid's got it. One of my favorite players in the draft. I love me some Will Campbell. I love his attitude. I love his passion. I love the fire this kid plays with. And he wants to kick some ass and take some names. Yeah, America. Love and leave, brother. Woo! But, Niners, just to recap, Justin Fields, Jets, I kind of like it, kind of don't. And the Niners, they're starting over, starting fresh. And it's a good thing. Not a bad thing. So, that's all I want to talk about here tonight, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Terrific Tuesday. Adios. Godspeed.